aboard, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into another episode of the Midnight Express. I'm your conductor, Isaiah Leung, joining you from the Garage Studios here in Fremont, California. I am joined by a very special guest tonight on the train. My guy, Callan McClurg, joins us from San Diego. Callan, it's been a very, very busy day for me, you, and a lot of our folks here on the network. We had that amazing interview with Grant Cohn a couple of hours ago. We're doing double duty tonight. How are you feeling on this Thursday night?
I'm enjoying myself. It's nice to be back in the producer / analyst chair and helping out the Midnight Express. But I'm happy to be here, and thanks for the invite. It's all that matters to me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Glad to have you on the air. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to fire away in the comment box. Fire away in the comment box. Ask whatever questions that you guys have. Comment whatever you guys have, and we will be delighted to put those comments right on the show and read them on air. But Callan, we have an announcement regarding the 31 Days of Hot Takes Challenge. Take it away, my man.
Will do, man. Isaiah, of course, folks, you've seen this over the past several days. We're now into day 11 now of the network's ongoing deliberations for the 31 Days of Hot Takes Challenge. Again, we wanted to save it for another program today because we really didn't want to spoil the Grant Cohn interview earlier today here on this Thursday night, December the 10th. But with that, folks, you are voting tonight for either Trevor Williams or for myself in this matchup. It's either Trevor saying that Devin Booker, Isaiah's NBA man crush, is going to go and play for the Orlando Magic. And sadly, or not really sadly, but Trevor is pinned up or matching him against me, putting on the shades like I usually do when Isaiah has to rant about his reasons why his team's lost. You're voting for either the shades or voting for Trevor, saying that Devin Booker would go to the Orlando Magic. As a reminder to vote in the contest again, just go ahead and visit our Facebook page over at facebook.com/MI6Sports. And also, folks, Shareable Steve wanted me to pass along a memo too. If you folks out there are feeling very generous, perhaps during this holiday season or in general, and you want to help support us more than just viewership or your listenership, we also, folks, are taking your PayPal donations now. So you want to help fund us either for perhaps adding new features to our either to our accounts, whether it's we can begin streaming across multiple or more platforms than just Facebook and YouTube, where you can perhaps add Twitter or Twitch, either it's new equipment or funding, or just, in other words, basically just helping us in a different way than listenership or viewership. We'll have more information about that, but you can find the information too if you want to perhaps give us your donations or pay us through PayPal for tips or whatever you want to call it. But more so, we also have PayPal now set up too, where you folks can, again, help us out with maybe some cost of perhaps streaming, maybe equipment cost and stuff of that nature. But all that, folks, though, we can promise you this, though, that 100% of whatever is donated will be actually sent towards a good cause for the network, and perhaps maybe towards some charitable work as well that we perhaps want to do over the course of next holiday season. We'll have more about that at a different point in time. And if you want to cast your vote, though, for the network 31 Days of Hot Takes Challenge, that again, folks, is facebook.com/MI6Sports. Isaiah, back over to you.
Thank you, Callan. Well, Callan mentioned it when he was talking about the episode that we had today. We had a phenomenal show today with Grant Cohn. It was amazing to talk to Grant Cohn, about his career in sports media. It was great to talk to him about the 49ers and what he believes that they should do regarding their quarterback situation moving forward. We talked about Nick Mullins. We talked about Eric Armstead, the defense, Robert Saleh. It was a great, great interview. I really recommend you guys all to go check it out. It's on the MI6 Sports Network page. Go check that out after you guys are done watching this program. We will really appreciate it. Like the video and also share the video to any groups that you guys are in, and we would really appreciate you guys also if you guys shared it to your social media platforms as well. But Callan, let me ask you this. What was your biggest takeaway today in the interview that we had with Grant Cohn?
Other than the fact that Grant really said his mind, though, about the Niners, I think it more so he seemed to fit right into this network broadcast team because, like I said, in a roundabout way on the program earlier on Thursday was, yeah, we're serious here, but, I'm wearing a shirt and jeans and a sweatshirt as I did on the program earlier today. And that Grant just seemed to me, Isaiah, it seemed like he fit right into the puzzle, and sometimes I think it's hard, much like in sports, to plug in players into certain situations and it doesn't really work out right away. But that, other than that, though, great insight, though, from Grant. We obviously got a lot about the Niners throughout the course of the program. But I think, like I said, though, Isaiah, more so it was me marveling about the questions and comments that were coming in from viewers that were really asking him, about the Niners, but also about, tips and about his career and things like that. And like I said, that may have been one of the more active, very active chat boxes we've had over the time that we have done guest interviews. And, I think it was great. But more so for me, Isaiah, it was how much, though, that Grant Cohn really just fit right in with the broadcast team, with you and me and John. And if we could plug him into a different program like on No BS or on WST, this guy fits the puzzle like it's a slam dunk of Grant Cohn fitting right in, but very insightful. And again, he gave us about an hour and a half of his time right as dinner time came around for him and his wife. But a great commentary, great insight, great analysis of the Niners, and plenty of other great stuff here today. But with that, Isaiah, some great stuff, and hopefully we'll have Grant back on sometime in the not too distant future.
Yeah, Callan, I totally agree with you on that. We definitely need to have Grant back on. Grant was one of my, probably out of all the guests that we've had on this network, we've had some really great guests: John Schaefer, Courtney Cronin, Rachel Hill. I know I'm forgetting a lot of names.
Ryan Fenley just last week.
Ryan Fenley, exactly. We've had a lot of great guests here on this network. And for me, I got to say, Grant Cohn was probably my favorite because, like you said, he fit in right perfectly with our network. He was so energetic. He was funny. He was genuine. It was just a great time talking to him about, his sportscasting career and about the 49ers. And Callan, the biggest thing that I realized from the interview is forget trying to be Skip Bayless. I know my nickname down below is the Asian Skip Bayless, but forget that. I don't want to be Skip Bayless anymore. Right there. I don't want to be Skip Bayless anymore. I think I want to be the Asian Grant Cohn. And Grant, if you're watching this, you were such an inspiration today. You, like me and Grant Cohn, we see football the same way. I mean, we basically have the same views on Nick Mullins. We have the same views when it comes to what the 49ers have to do to improve their ball club. We have the same views when it comes to Eric Armstead. We were basically just agreeing with each other on every single topic that was brought up. And he's a guy that's really funny. He's kind of outlandish as well. So, Callan, I want to be the Asian Grant Cohn. I want to be the next Grant Cohn. That is what I'm setting my sights on. But in all seriousness, though, like Callan said, it was a great interview. I would say I think my biggest takeaway from this interview, besides the fact that I want to be the Asian Grant Cohn, is, is the thing about Nick Mullins. He was talking about how Nick Mullins has a better arm than Jimmy Garoppolo. He throws a better deep ball than Jimmy Garoppolo. He also he's better in terms of mobility in the pocket than Jimmy Garoppolo, and I totally agree with him. I see everything that he's talking about. I honestly think that the Niners should keep keep Nick Mullins as the starter for next season, especially when if you have let's say you draft a rookie, right? You're not going to draft a rookie quarterback in the first round. You probably drop the quarterback in the second or third round. That quarterback is going to need a lot of time to develop and to get polished and to get familiar with Kyle Shanahan's complex offensive system. So why not have Nick Mullins, a guy that has shown you that he can, make this Kyle Shanahan system work? Why not have Nick Mullins be that bridge quarterback for San Francisco while that rookie, he gets developed, he gets polished, and then you can plug him in after either a year or a couple of years on the bench. I think Nick Mullins would be perfect for the next either year or 2 years for the San Francisco 49ers as their quarterback. But let's go into the comments to see what our fan base has to offer. We have Shardo Gupta tuning in. What's up, Shardo? Shardo says, in terms of Trevor's take about Devin Booker going to the Orlando Magic, there is no way Devin Booker will go to play for the Magic because I think he will stay and play for the Phoenix Suns, and he's had lots of success playing for the Phoenix Suns. Chardot, I think he's only had 1 year of success for the Phoenix Suns, and that was this past season when the Phoenix Suns went 8-0 in the bubble, and they should have made the playoffs had the Brooklyn Nets remembered how to rebound the damn basketball. But I agree with you, Chardot. He won't go to the Magic because he's coming to LA to be the successor to LeBron James. And I know.
Here we go.
Yes, exactly. We're already rubbing the Devin Booker to LA trade. But Martin Garcia also says Midnight Express, baby. Martin, thank you so much for tuning in. Really, really appreciate you. But let's dive in to the NFL. And there was Thursday Night Football tonight while we were having Grant Cohn on the air. The Rams played the Patriots at the brand new SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. And it was a Super Bowl rematch, and the Los Angeles Rams just walloped the New England Patriots 24-3. Callan, what was your takeaway from this game? I know this game wasn't close at all. The Rams dominated the Patriots from start to finish, but what was your biggest takeaway from this ball game?
The biggest takeaway, Isaiah, the Patriots scored all their points on Sunday against the Chargers when they beat them 45-0. But in all seriousness, though, for the Rams to come off of a game, though, where they put up 38 on Arizona, and they can go out there and basically bully around this Patriots defense and have their way again with another ball club. And more so for me, though, the big key for me with the Rams the past two games has been not Jared Goff. He's played great, but this... Like I said, though, I think a couple shows ago, Isaiah, it's their running game that I think really makes the Rams that scary. I think I even heard a stat on Fox today from Colin Cowherd that said that when the Rams are leading at the half, Sean McVay is dominant when they lead at the half, and they have, I think, not lost a game under McVay's tenure when they've had a lead after snack time. And not just that, though, but today, just seemed like the Patriots had gone back, as James Gonzalez usually says, though, they're a roller coaster. They have one great game, then they go back down the next game. And today, though, they cannot get anything going. I don't know if I've seen a team, though, Isaiah, with so many red zone trips, because I was getting notifications for fantasy that Harris, their running back for the Pats, was in the red zone. And okay, what do they do? And I literally checked, how do they not score? How do you not score 3 or 4 times when you get into the red zone? I know about field goals, but at least, Isaiah, how do you not get points, though, for me, is more of a story. You're driving great, but then it just stalls right there. But also, of course, Cam Newton has not obviously been the same quarterback as we have seen, though, in his time. Perhaps that the injuries taking their toll, plus him coming off shoulder surgery, has not helped. So I think more so, Isaiah, for me, it's the Rams running game, Sean McVay coaching great when they have a lead after halftime, and that they just go out there and pummel ball clubs when they just are playing great. In 2 games in a row, though, man, their offenses look very good. Now, also, though, I'd say, though, the Rams' offense, in a way, is like the Pats. They can be up and down at times, though. But today, though, very, very impressed by the Rams, and more so by their running backs, though, in this game today over New England.
Well, Callan, first of all, I got to say this. Robert Woods, I am really ticked off at Robert Woods right now because I am in the playoffs against Trevor Williams in our fantasy football league. And I started Robert Woods thinking, oh, yeah, this is Robert Woods going up against the Patriots defense. I know they have Stephon Gilmore in the secondary, but that's pretty much all they have right now in the secondary. They've been pretty banged up in the secondary. So I was like, yeah, Robert Woods is going to take advantage and torch that Patriots secondary. And, I'm going to come away with at least 20 to 25 points, get a huge lead over Trevor that I will not let go. And what does Robert Woods do? Robert Woods, hold on, ladies and gentlemen, let me check the fantasy stats. Robert Woods, ladies and gentlemen, had 8.10 points. He was projected for 20. Instead, he had 8.10 points. Robert Woods only had 1 rushing attempt for -1 rushing yards, 5 catches for 32 yards, and that's it. Really, Robert Woods, you're going to stink up the joint on national TV and now most likely cost me my fantasy football matchup and a chance to, stun our entire league because, I got in as that 6th seed in our league. So I was hoping to play spoiler. But now after that dismal performance, I'm probably going to get knocked out in the first round. But, in all seriousness, though, Callan, I think that the last 2 games for the Rams, what I have noticed is that the Rams have reestablished their dominance at the line of scrimmage. If you look at the
Absolutely.
49ers, yes, if you look at the Niners game, their defensive line was just pummeling the Niners because, the Niners offensive line is so atrocious. We talked about this with Grant Cohn today. The Niners offensive line is so atrocious from their left tackle on to the right tackle. Everybody on that offensive line sucks at blocking. I guarantee you, me and you could rush the quarterback, get sacks against that pathetic offensive line. But the 49ers offensive line, they bullied the Rams, not the Niners offensive, that defensive line bullied the Rams offensive line so many times in that football game when the Niners played the Rams. I mean, Javon Kinlaw was bullying guys at the line of scrimmage. Kerry Hyder was bullying guys. It was the Niners just dominated the Rams, or their defensive line dominated the Rams' offensive line. But what you have seen the last 2 games against Arizona, the Rams got so much push from their offensive line. Their offensive line was just bullying the Cardinals left and right. They ran for so many yards. And then tonight, the offensive line did the same thing. They were playing the Patriots defensive line. Jared Goff had lots of time to throw the football. He was 16 of 25 for 137 yards, a touchdown, 1 interception. But I think this is where you see the true dominance of that offensive line, the running game. Cam Akers with 29 carries for 171 rushing yards. I mean, the Rams were just running the ball right down the Patriots' throats. The Patriots just could not stop that Rams running game, and I think you got to attribute that to the reestablished dominance of the Rams offensive line. And if the Rams offensive line can continue playing the way that they're playing the last 2 games, they are going to be very scary in the postseason, because who would want to stop the Rams running game and then have to deal with Jared Goff and then with his receivers like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods? So if the Rams offensive line can keep playing the way they are playing right now, they are going to be very scary come postseason.
Most definitely. That's going to be a very interesting ball club to watch for sure, but especially if they can get the running game going every game, and it's been that way the past two games, they could be very scary, as you mentioned, though, especially if Goff is in the zone and getting going early.
Yeah, exactly, man. Let's go to our comments. Shardo Gupta says, Chris Paul and Devin Booker will be so great together on the Phoenix Suns.
Maybe.
I see it. I think they will be great together, but I still don't know if I put the Suns into the Western Conference playoff, given the fact that the West is just so damn stacked. But, Callan, let's exit out of the Los Angeles station and let's travel east, 2,200 miles east to Cincinnati, Ohio, where we will talk about the Cincinnati Bengals doing something very, 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 very alarming and also befuddling, and that is they reportedly plan to keep their head coach, Zach Taylor, around for a 3rd season. Zach Taylor, currently with the Bengals in 2 years, is 4-22-1. Callan, what do you think about this move? Do you think the Bengals are making a good decision by bringing Taylor back, or do you think the Bengals are making a terrible decision and they should fire Zach Taylor after the year?
I probably am one of the very few who thinks give the guy another chance, because he did just lose his star rookie quarterback to a very serious, leg injury this season. But more so, like I've said, I think Isaiah several times on this program, is these family-run franchises, Detroit, Chicago, Cincinnati, the Chargers even. You can't be cheap. You can't just go the route of keep firing coach after coach after coach. Sometimes you have to look, though, at the roster procurement. And I would say, though, that more so, this falls solely on the Bengals as a roster, more so than I think it's on Zach Taylor. Obviously, of course, that the record is horrible, 4-22-1 in 2 years or 3 years. at the helm of the Bengals in their roster and, coaching this ball club. But I think, though, that sadly, Isaiah, it goes back to my point, though, sadly, man, of a lot of these franchises who are owned by families and they're not run very well. Again, the Chargers, the Lions, the Bears, even throwing in the Bengals, and I think it's been that way. And I think, Isaiah, you probably would agree, though, that the last great coach, I know, of course, he doesn't have a lot of playoff wins, but the last good coach the Bengals had in my mind is and will always be Marvin Lewis. And I know, of course, it didn't translate in the postseason, but a guy that would get you wins, though, in the regular season, but also, I think, had a lot of great players, though, on those rosters. I think that more so, Isaiah, I don't expect a lot of movement. And I know that we have said that, though, for majority of the pandemic seasons, though, of like, we're not going to see a lot of trades. We're not going to see a lot of different, trades or firings. But obviously, it's a business, though, still, because even though there's no revenue coming in from tickets being sold, though. But for the Bengals, I don't see them firing Taylor this offseason because it's like, well, the guy did lose his quarterback. It's kind of like, a free pass. But I would think, though, if the issues continue into next season, where Joe Burrow does, in fact, come back maybe, and that offensive line has not been addressed, and they get off to another bad start, then I would see him being fired. But I think, though, Isaiah, I don't see it happening just because a lot of the factors we've already talked about, though, there being no revenue, and for the fact, though, of the Bengals being a very sadly cheap and not well-run organization.
Yeah, good points, Callan, but I got to disagree with you. I think that Zach Taylor should be fired by the Bengals, and it has nothing to do with the record. And, the reason why I think that Zach Taylor should be fired was there was a very explosive article that came out a couple of weeks ago from Sports Illustrated that detailed the culture in the Bengals locker room. They said, or they, in the article, you had a lot of anonymous sources. You had a lot of players that, were anonymous. They said that the culture is super toxic. Every time at practice, there's like a lot of profanity-laced rants where players do stuff wrong. One of the sources even said that this coaching staff treat their players like college kids. They ignore the players' suggestions for different plays and stuff like that. They have terrible communication. I mean, one of the instances they gave in the article was that Carlos Dunlap, the former defensive end of the Bengals, who now plays for the Seattle Seahawks, he found out he was traded to the Seahawks via Twitter. How does that even happen? How do you not inform your player? Like, how do you not even give them a call or a text or whatever, or call their agent, and you make their agent and themselves find out via Twitter? I think that's like super pathetic. I think Zach Taylor and the Bengals should be ashamed of themselves for the culture that they've set in Cincinnati. And I think that Joe Burrow and this franchise, they need to change that culture in Cincinnati. Right now, what's going on in Cincinnati is not good at all. And if they can, if they make a coaching change, maybe like a different coach will bring in like a different culture, and the players can actually thrive in that culture, unlike right now where it's just so damn toxic to work in.
No, it's very valid, I think, and also more so that sometimes, though, you kind of have that happen, and I've been a part of a couple of locker rooms who kind of come unglued during the course of a season, and it kind of gets a little bit tense, a little bit out of control, where guys are screaming and hollering at each other, and there's a couple of fights that break out, or you have guys slamming each other into lockers and stuff like that happens. But at the same time, though, I get your point, though. I do think, though, about maybe the toxic culture right now with the Bengals and all the practices. But I think, though, that beyond that, though, to me, though, it still seems like that with how, of course, and I know I'm probably going to jinx it now, but you're probably not going to see a lot of coaches, in my mind, be fired. For example, in Chicago, more than likely, because again, the revenue not being there for certain teams with tickets and stuff like that. The Bengals, in my mind, though, I just think that they really, you're going to fire the guy, minus the practice situation, but fire a coach, though, because of, him losing his quarterback. I don't quite think that's probably going to be warranted. But then again, though, it is the Bengals, so we've probably seen some weirder things happen with that organization.
Yeah, Callan, I gotta agree with you. I like even though I think Zach Taylor should be fired by the Bengals, I don't see it because Mike Brown is one of the cheapest owners in all of football. And how long did it take him to fire Marvin Lewis? It took him like 15 years to fire Marvin Lewis, like 7 years past when he should have fired Marvin Lewis. So yeah, go ahead,
To
Callan.
me, to me, it kind of seems like that the Bengals were giving him so many free chances. Like, we don't want to fire him yet. Let's, more so about the postseason. Like I said, though, about his woes in the playoffs. It was more of like one of those things like, can he win it? Can he win it? Can he win it? Like they held on to him, I think, for way too long. It's just like, okay, we're not going anywhere. Time to fire this guy and move on. But I mean, like I said, though, I think that Marvin Lewis to me is like the last notable coach that the Bengals have had in their franchise history, to be very honest.
Yeah, Marvin Lewis did a lot of great things for the Bengals. Unfortunately, he just couldn't win in the
Poor
postseason.
guy.
And now, now there's reports from, I believe it was Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network, that Marvin Lewis's name keeps popping up when it comes to potential NFL coaching vacancy. So we'll see where that goes. Hopefully, Marvin does get another head coaching job in the NFL. He deserves it. But Callan, let's stay on the East Coast, but this time let's travel a little bit farther east. 570 miles east to Philadelphia, where my Philadelphia Phillies have made a huge splash. We were just talking about them last night, and I was really irate about the Philadelphia Phillies and their ownership. Just committed or being invested into building a winning club and then pulling out halfway when the job wasn't done. But they shocked all of us today, and the Phillies have officially hired former Red Sox president of baseball operations and former Tigers GM Dave Dombrowski as their new president of baseball ops. A lot of people didn't see this coming because, Dombrowski, he was, I believe, according to report, he was involved with Tony La Russa in trying to get a team to Nashville. So this just came out of left field. Nobody expected this. But, Callan, what is your thoughts on the Phillies hiring Dave Dombrowski to run their front office? Callan, I think you're on mute.
There is no one better, I'd say, than no one better to run your baseball operations than Dave Dombrowski. A guy's been around for a long time and built some winning cultures in markets. I think he was with the Tigers for a very long time and had that ball club in 2013. Sadly, falls short to the Red Sox in the ALCS. But he's built a lot of great ball clubs, and a guy that I think is very well known and also very well respected among his peers in baseball. And I think he's had a lot of success with Detroit. I think he had some success in other spots, but especially though for the Phillies, though, Isaiah, for a ball club, again, has been looking up for the past several years at Atlanta or Washington, and of course has this Bryce Harper contract on their back like a piano for the next 8 years. There's no better guy to come in and hopefully clean up that mess that the Phillies front office has made over the past several years. In my mind, great hire, great move, and again, a great baseball mind going to work with the Phillies next season. In my mind.
Very good points, Callan. I totally agree with you. Callan, I think you might want to put that double screen on because I want to see your reaction when I say this. But Callan, you know how last night I acted like the sky was falling for the Phillies? I was like, oh yeah, the Phillies ownership sucks. They're like pulling out halfway through, like trying to build a winning ball club. They're not going to sign anybody. They're going to break my heart yet again. Well, I'm here to tell you, my man, the Phillies are back. I haven't felt this. I haven't felt, and Callan's gone already after hearing me say it, after hearing me say that statement. But the Phillies are back. I haven't been this excited since 2008. The Phillies finally got a great GM to run their front office. This move is like the Joe Girardi move from last year. It's a splash hire. It's what the franchise needed. Dombrowski is an aggressive GM. He's going to force John Middleton to spend that stupid money. He's also going to make a lot of trades. He's going to gut the farm system. I know that's going to happen because of his time with the Tigers and Red Sox. But hey, who cares about your farm system? It's about winning now because the Phillies have Bryce Harper, they have Nola, they have Wheeler, they have Segura, they have Realmuto's a free agent. But this guy is going to be aggressive. He's going to be able to fill needs for the Phillies, whether it's free agency or trades. He's well respected, like Callan said. And I am just so stoked right now that Dombrowski is the new GM or the new president of baseball ops for the Phillies. When I woke up this morning and saw this news, I sprinted up and down my living room screaming of joy because this is such a great move. Callan's probably going to put this clip, or he's going to cut this clip, and during next baseball season, we're going to have this clip of me saying the Phillies are back, and maybe with their luck, they probably will be in the bottom of the NL East, and I'll put everybody will be mocking me for jinxing it, but the Phillies are back, ladies and gentlemen. This team is ready to start winning again. I expect Dombrowski to fix that bullpen, try to re-sign Realmuto. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. But as I keep saying, the Phillies are back. The Phillies are going to make the playoffs next season, and I expect an NL East title next season. And who knows? Maybe you see this wall right here, guys. You see this wall? It is blank. Right? There's only a 49ers flag in here. Hopefully right here we will have a Phillies 2021 World Series banner around here. But, Callan, I know you want to respond, but go ahead, my man.
How can the Phillies be back when Atlanta has owned this division for the last, it feels like 20 years of time? Again, they won 16 straight, NL East championships, and they've won, the last 3 in a row, I think. And the Phillies have just killed themselves, in my mind, by not getting – I know about Harper, but is there anyone else, in that lineup, minus him and Rhys Hoskins, that can take the load off of this lineup? And more so, can they keep their pitchers, in my mind, healthy, especially when you get Zach Wheeler, guy who's had a lot of issues with his arm from the Mets nonetheless, and usually if you go with the Mets or the Indians, they're damaged goods 9 times out of 10, though. I still like Atlanta to win the NL East. I know that the Marlins are getting better. The Phillies are okay, but, they're strapped with they are cash struck, though, by that very, very bad Bryce Harper contract that they absolutely probably did not need to give Bryce, but they did, though, to lure him away from D.C. But isn't it ironic? He leaves D.C. the first year that he's gone. The Nationals win the World Series. Talk about cruel irony, is all I have to say, Isaiah. I still have Atlanta winning. Go Braves.
Callan, I'm just hoping that the Phillies make my words come true, because if they don't and they do what they did this year or last season and the year before, and they choke leads constantly away and they somehow, some way finish in last place, this video will be added to the pile of Isaiah's infamous words, moments or videos that, So I'm crossing my fingers because I do not want to look like a fool, because I've already had that video of, Jim Harbaugh and Michigan being back. I don't want that video of Michigan. This is Jim Harbaugh's best team at Michigan. I don't want that. I don't want the next video being on the Isaiah's infamous words list being.
Come on, Jimmy, we got to get this first down. Hasty's open! Hasty, oh my God, you take a damn sack. He was wide open. Are you far?
So come on, Phillies. I believe in you, Dombrowski. So glad you're the new president of baseball ops. You're definitely going to be better than Andy McPhail and Matt Klantak. So please make my predictions come true. I've been dying for a championship ever since I started following baseball back in 2007. You only won 1 in the last 12 years.
Time out. You dying for a championship? No, right here, buddy. Not you. It's right here.
Callan, 9-year playoff drought, though.
14-year playoff drought. 22 years of not winning a series in the postseason. Come on now.
Oh, damn it! Damn it! Damn
it! No, not you, me.
Let's take a look at our comments section. We have We have Christy Wilson saying Marvin Lewis was a good coach. I feel bad for him. Yeah, he was a good coach, and he definitely deserves another shot at coaching in the NFL. So hopefully he gets it this coaching cycle. So Christy also says, "Wow, that hire is surprising. Maybe he could do good things for the Phillies." Christy, he will not only do good things, he will do great things because I believe the Phillies are back. Go ahead, Callan.
What? Oh my God, you had it!
So bad.
Christy Wilson saying, Callan walked off the set. Yeah, he walked off the set. He jumped on the bed when I said the Phillies were back. Christy Wilson also says, now he's got the shades, and so do I. We'll see. We'll see during this upcoming baseball season because who knows, if the Phillies end up playing really bad, there will be more rants that I will be going on. Christy Wilson also says the Phillies are now cash-strapped because of Bryce Harper. Yeah, I agree with you. They totally are. That's why I expect JT Realmuto to walk after this free agency period. Christy Wilson also says, try 25 years since the Cowboys last won a Super Bowl. Callan, any responses to that?
51 years of nothing. It's worse than 25 years of winning a championship. We haven't had anything since JFK was in office.
Listen, I know you guys have not been to a Super Bowl in a long, long time. But how about 2 Super Bowl losses? 2 Super Bowl losses in your life. 2 Super Bowl losses in your lifetime where your team has had the lead in the fourth quarter or was about to win the game and you just get your heart broken late in the fourth quarter.
How about never? How about like since John F. Kennedy was in office in 1963? That's the last time we won anything. None of this 25 years or 8 years or 10 years or whatever. Come on now.
Callan, moving down to Brooklyn, New York, where we will talk about Kyrie Irving and his, ridiculous nonsense that has been coming up as of late. Kyrie Irving, Callan. Remember when Kyrie Irving a couple of weeks ago put out a statement saying that he will not be talking to the media this entire season. He's going to be imposing a media blackout for this season. Well, the NBA has responded. The NBA fined Kyrie Irving $25,000 for not participating in team media activities. Callan, what is your thoughts on this? And do you think that this is warranted for Kyrie's actions?
This is just the start of probably, in my mind, a very long season for both Kyrie and a very long season full of distractions now for this Nets ball club, Isaiah, in my mind, especially though it has to happen to a first-time and first-year head coach in Steve Nash, which also, Isaiah, has been somewhat in a way probably marred by controversy because of the comments made by Kyrie and KD of like, we're not gonna listen to this guy who's coaching us. It's all about us and not the coaching staff. And also, more so, I think with this, though, Isaiah, this becomes a giant distraction that eventually someone in that front office, Sean Marks, Nash, Marks and Nash, or the owner, has to step in and say, look, we know that you're zoned in on this season and you don't like talking to the media, but hey, we can't afford to keep having this nonsense and this three-ring circus go because as of right now, Isaiah, this could be a very bad situation and a very bad ball club if things are not going Durant and Irving's way. We know that they're probably on paper, maybe a lock for a top 8 spot, obviously, to make the postseason. But right now, with how things are going, Isaiah, and I have said this, though, for a long time, if this Nets ball club, the first 10 to 15 or 20 games of this first half of the season, if they're not playing great basketball, if they have losing records, and both Irving and Durant are not playing very well, this becomes a very big New York media frenzy where they are going to be trying their best to get at Kyrie, rip him in the press, rip Durant in the press, rip the organization in the press, and it's going to be a very, very sad, but I think sadly self-imposed, situation that Kyrie Irving is doing. It's only the start, Isaiah, of a very big, a brouhaha between the Nets, Kyrie, and also the NBA front office in my mind. And it's a damn shame it has to happen though to Steve Nash, one of the most respected players of his time. Now a first-year head coach having to deal with these two big egos of both Durant and Irving in his first time coaching at the NBA level.
Yeah, Callan, you make valid points, my man. But for me, I agree with you. I think this is the beginning of an ugly mess for the Nets, for Kyrie Irving, because the Nets, or not the Nets, but the NBA is going to keep taking money and finding Kyrie Irving for every time he doesn't speak to the media. So if Kyrie does, go through with this like season-long media blackout, imagine all the cash that the guy's going to lose. Who knows? Like, I think he's getting paid, what, $25 million this year? Like something like that, 25 or 30. He might honestly lose like $5 million by the end of this, this season, because they're going to keep fighting him every time he doesn't speak to the media. And that's going to be like 25K, 25K, 25K. And it's going to all add up. And I guarantee you Kyrie's going to lose at least $5 million from this. I agree with you, Callan, also that, I feel bad for Steve Nash. He's one of the most respected players in the NBA now, a first-time head coach. And for him to have to deal with these two guys, and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, I'm just feeling really bad for the guy. This guy deserves a chance to be a head coach, and it sucks that he has, it's good for him that he gets this team to coach this great talented team. But with these guys having the type of egos that they have, it's just, I feel really bad for the guy. And, I'm hoping it works out, but I don't think it will. And, Cam, there's one thing to watch out for. Joe Tsai. Joe Tsai, the Brooklyn Nets owner, he's a guy that, is really involved with the team. He wants his players to talk to the media. He wants his players to be involved in the community. I don't know how he's going to take this when Kyrie is imposing a media or a season-long media ban on himself.
I agree, because I've met Mr. Tsai. He actually owns the lacrosse team, the San Diego Seals, that play here in San Diego. Joe's a big lacrosse guy. He played it at Yale and brought the club to San Diego. And I got a chance to meet him while he made a very rare appearance at a inaugural home, or one of our home games. And I flat out told him, Mr. Tsai, as a San Diego native who's been born and raised here and a big sports fan, I thank you wholeheartedly for bringing a sports franchise to this market, because ownership is so quick to come here then leave. Like, again, example, the Chargers. And the guy didn't say a whole lot, though, but he's a very, soft-spoken guy, Isaiah. But in a way, though, I think the phrase from President Roosevelt was, speak softly and carry a big stick. Joe Tsai is that kind of a leader that you would love to play for. And I have come to love the guy, with what he's done with the team here in San Diego for lacrosse. But I would agree, though, that eventually, like I said, though, it becomes either a situation of either Nash and Sean, more so Nash first, maybe. Then it would have to go to Sean Marks, the GM. Then if it gets even worse out of control, in my mind, it goes Nash, Sean Marks, then the media or communications director, and then it would have to be, the ownership would be the last straw to say, hey, look, man, enough of this crap. Enough is enough.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how this unfolds, because, it's going to go down all year long, and this is definitely just the beginning of it. But let's take a look at the comment section. Christy Wilson says the Kyrie Irving giving the media the silent treatment is not a good thing. Totally agree with you, Christy. Christy also says the New York media is going to be all over Kyrie Irving until
that's
he cracks.
The last thing, and that's also the last thing, Isaiah. That's also the last thing that a franchise like Brooklyn, who right now is fighting for a fan base, and they've been that way since they moved to Brooklyn from New Jersey, when they were, of course, the New Jersey Nets. And you're obviously in New York, you're in a borough of this, of the city, and you're fighting the New York Knicks for basketball supremacy. And both clubs are not, honestly, in my mind, very good. The Knicks have been a dumpster fire post 97, 98, 99, 2000. And now they may be turning a corner with their rebuild and their draft picks this past November, basically. And now the Nets have built something great with two bona fide superstars, a first-year head coach. Now you have this on top of it. Not a bad look for Brooklyn. It's just going to make things a lot worse, if you ask me.
And one thing to add about this, You know how Kevin Durant, right? When he was with the Warriors, he struggled a lot with the Bay Area media. And trust me, the Bay Area media, they are not that they're not that bad. You know, I met a lot of the guys in the Bay Area media. If you struggle with the Bay Area media, how are you going to do in New York? Go ahead, Kevin.
There's certain markets, Isaiah, where the media is out of control. New York, Boston, Philly, Chicago, and LA are my top 5 suitors for probably the toughest media markets to play in if you're a pro athlete.
Yeah, Calvin, I agree with you. And I wouldn't be surprised if the New York media tries to, chase down Kyrie Irving and tries to stick a microphone through his or to
TMZ
his mouth.
Sports, baby.
It's New York. I mean, that's how the media is in New York. Christy Wilson also says the Nets are going to be a major dumpster fire. Yes,
especially if they get off to a very, very, very slow start.
And one thing I want to add about this is that, a lot of people are saying, oh, KD is going to come back and he's going to be the KD of old. The guy's coming off a torn Achilles. I'm not trying to liken him to Kobe Bryant because Kobe Bryant was like 36, I believe, Calvin, or was it 37 when he suffered that injury? He was at a more advanced age than Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, I believe, right now is only 32 years old. But, Achilles injuries are very, very tough to
9 times out of 10 they end your career.
Yeah, they tend to end your career. So for all these guys that say that, Durant's going to come back and be that top 3 player, hold off on that and let's see how he does in preseason and also in the beginning of the season before you judge him. Because for me, I don't believe that we're going to see the same Kevin Durant that we saw from Oklahoma City and we saw in Golden State. Christy also says right there, a torn Achilles is a very difficult injury to recover from. Yep, totally agree with you, Christy. Callan, you ready to move back to the West, my man? This time, we are going back west. We're going from Brooklyn. We're going to travel west 2,169 miles to Logan, Utah, to the campus of Utah State University because the Aggies have made some big news today. The Utah State Aggies, to replace Gary Anderson, who was fired after an 0-4 start, the Utah State Aggies have hired another Anderson to be their new head coach. That is Arkansas State's Blake Anderson to be their new head coach. Blake Anderson, from what I have gathered, he's a tremendous football coach, but he's a tremendous person as well. And he gained a lot of attention from the media. I think it was last year when his wife, I believe, was suffering from breast cancer. I might be wrong on that, but she was suffering from some type of cancer. And instead of he still would be with her, but he would also be on the sidelines and coach as well. And, a lot of people poured a lot of money into his foundation. They did a lot of things for his wife. And unfortunately, I think I might be wrong on this, but I think his wife passed away, sadly. And, it was really sad for Blake Anderson. But, Callan, what is your thoughts on Utah State giving Blake Anderson his first head coaching shot at the FBS level?
Utah State at one point was very close, I think, to winning the Mountain West Conference Championship. And sadly, Isaiah, like say a couple, say every so often, is there's times when you have championship hangover, whether you win the whole thing or you lose the whole thing, is that sometimes that happens. And Utah State kind of fell off, sadly, after that. But, taking a risk on a guy who's probably not a proven coach, what do they have to lose in my mind? And more so that Utah State, I think, could still be a very good contending ball club in the Mountain West. But sadly, though, to kind of see that program kind of go on a bit of a decline after their last or latest and greatest appearance in the conference title game, sadly, man, it sucks to kind of see anyone out there, you have to go through the kind of that rebuild after you get so close to tasting victory for the championship.
Yeah, I just want to clarify the story about Blake Anderson and his wife. What actually happened was his wife, had cancer. She unfortunately passed away from cancer, and Blake Anderson, he continued to coach despite the heavy grieving that he was dealing with, and I believe, he led Arkansas State to a winning record. Just a phenomenal story. But my take on this, Callan, is that I'm happy for Blake Anderson because, like I said earlier, he's a tremendous football coach. He's a tremendous man as well. So I'm happy that he's finally getting an opportunity to coach at the FBS level. But I think if you're Utah State, they haven't been they've been relevant like what, twice in the last 10 years. So I like this because he gets a shot at coaching the FBS level, and I also like it because like you said, Utah State, they really don't have anything to lose, and this guy has proven that he can turn around programs, and maybe he can do the same at Utah State.
We'll see what happens, but I mean, hey, give the guy a fair shot or give him a shot and see what he can do with it.
Yeah, Blake Anderson was 50-35 in his tenure at Arkansas State. At 7 years there, he was 2-4 in bowl games, but still, what a turnaround for Blake Anderson at Arkansas State. But Callan, let's wrap tonight's program up with some very fun stuff. We are presenting our bloopers of the week here on the Midnight Express, and we've got a lot of fun bloopers tonight for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's start with number 3, idiot driver. Callan, this is my reaction. What the heck are you doing driving like this? Can we play that again, by the way? I really don't understand whoever driving that car. I don't understand what they are doing. I mean, first of all, you could easily, get hurt, right? You could easily get hurt. Something could happen with the car, and you could get hurt because the car, like if you guys saw, there was flames coming out of the car. Secondly, you could get in trouble with what are you doing trying that stupid stunt out, man? Any thoughts on this?
Why do people have to be so damn stupid? That's all I have to say for it.
Shardo Gupta says exactly what me and Callan were thinking. What is that driver thinking? And then
Why?
Yeah, totally agree. And then Shardo also says, what is going on in that mind of that driver?
Too many cold ones, I think.
Yeah, probably. Let's move on to our second blooper, and that is, you've heard of Hotel Room Idiots Part 1. You've heard of Hotel Room Idiots Part 2.
Safety
But
first. 1, 2, 3.
Callan, is that part of the Hotel Room Idiots series now? So we have Hotel Room Idiots Part 3. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Hotel Room Idiots Part 4.
Planes.
Oh my goodness, man.
Let's rewind that for a bit.
Ooh.
Planes.
Here's you, here's Matt, there's you, there.
Double whammy for that kid. It looked like he was trying to, run and then jump onto the bed with one foot or something. And not only does he face plants on the bed, I believe when he was falling back, I think when he was
hit the chair.
Planes.
Double whammy. He face plants on the bed, and then when he's going backwards, he hits his head on the chair.
Probably knocked himself out. Concussion protocol.
Yes, sir. Concussion protocol. Christy Wilson also says, "What face plant?"
What a face plant is right. My goodness gracious, man. One more time. It's like his whole sternum just like went right into the bed like it was jumping into an air mattress.
Callan, we might need to the audience out there, we might need you guys to vote on, because we've got right now 4 hotel room idiots, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Which one was the best? So if you guys feel free to comment in our comment box to see which one was the best.
Safety first. 1, 2, 3. Ah!
Whatever you do, please don't pick number 3. Please, I'm begging you. But, Callan, let's move on to our final blooper of the night. And this one, we are roasting someone on our network who decided he wanted to, be part of a trend and do something stupid, and it failed big time. Let's rewind that. So I'll give you guys a story of the story of what happened. So I had a nut in my hand, right? And I was trying to throw it up in the air and catch it with my mouth, right? So as I was doing that, I threw it up in the air, and as I was going forward to try to catch it, my feet somehow, some way tangled, and then I tripped over my feet, and
You look like Nick Mullins dropping back to hand the ball off on Monday.
I tripped over my own feet, and I fell down on the ground. I was lucky, Callan, that I didn't face plant on that cement floor. That's the thing. But what is your thoughts on this video?
Which one's better, the nut or this one?
But ladies and gentlemen, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ah!
I still like the pineapple better than the nut.
The nut one was just really tripping over your own feet trying to catch
something. You pulled a Mullins. That's what you pulled a Mullins. That's what you did.
I put a Mullins. I put a Drew Lock. I put that. I'm just unlucky, Callan. I'll just tell you that. I'm just really, really unlucky. But hey, I want to give an update to the fans though. The pineapple incident actually I have now a big bump right here on my head. So Callan, I just want to let you know if I'm gonna, if Michigan loses on Saturday and I have to miss a program, that is why, because I have a concussion. But ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for bloopers of our bloopers of the week. Now let's segue into tonight's final thoughts. Callan, it's been a short and sweet program tonight. We've done double duty here on this great Thursday night. Callan, what is your final thoughts for tonight's show?
I get to do double duty, but get paid to do double duty with college basketball tomorrow. But thanks for the invite. Glad to be back producing again and helping out on this program. I would have loved to have been the troll deucer, which again is producing, but then coming in and trolling you and Alcorn during the course of this program. I'm glad to be here for the entire program and giving my thoughts and all that good stuff. And again, major shout out again to Grant Cohn from SI for joining the WST team earlier on Thursday. And as mentioned, folks, I will not be with you on No BS on Friday, so I will see you folks back here on Saturday for the night shift with Isaiah Leung at 10 o'clock Pacific time. So Isaiah, over to you.
Callan, my final thoughts for tonight's show, or actually before I get into final thoughts, I want to thank Shardo Gupta, as well as Christy Wilson, and Martin Garcia for tuning in tonight to our shows. Christy watched our Grant Cohn program. Shardo as well watched our Grant Cohn program. It's been a long day.
Spit it out.
A Grant Cohn program and this program. So we thank you guys so much for watching the two programs here on the air tonight. But Callan, my final thoughts is it was a fantastic episode tonight. I'm so glad that the Phillies hired Dave Dombrowski, because I swear, if I had to go another year with them being run by an incompetent executive, I don't even know what I would have done. I probably would have sold all my Phillies gear. Oh, I'm also really glad that it is not AJ Hinch. I mean, thank the good Lord that it wasn't AJ Hinch, because who knows what I would have done if it was AJ Hinch. But we have an update to our bracket challenge tonight. Callan actually defeats Trevor's take of Devin Booker going to the Orlando Magic by a unanimous decision. Callan, any victory speech?
No, you're good.
Yeah, but once again, guys, Callan defeats Trevor and moves on to the second round. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fantastic program. We really appreciate you guys tuning in to both of the shows tonight. A couple of announcements before we sign off. Make sure you guys tune in next Thursday night. We will have KNBR radio host Mark Willard join the show. Callan, I believe the time is 12:30, right? 12:30 next week?
12:40 next Thursday, 12:40 in the afternoon.
Yes, 12:40 in the afternoon for a special edition of Wild Sports Talk. And also, ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week, Tuesday. We will have our MI6 Fantasy Basketball League draft. The draft will start at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And Callan, we'll see. There might be a lot of dumb decisions on draft day. So we'll see who drafts maybe Devin Booker with the number one pick. But, guys, it's been a fantastic program. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you guys back on here at the MI6 Sports Network tomorrow night for No BS with myself, Trevor, and probably Sri Anand to fill in for Callan. Anyways, guys, have a great night.